Hi guys! It is 6 months. Well, it's actually over 6 months, but it has not been a year, so this is the 6 month video. So, if you haven't watched my previous videos and you're jumping straight to 6 months, how is he doing after 6 months? Uh, I've had nothing but issues. Well, I wouldn't say nothing but issues, but I've had plenty of issues with dry eye, floaters, halos, starbursts, uh, for past 8 weeks. So the last video that I uploaded was the 8 week mark, and that was supposed to be the point in time in which everything was supposed to be healed and uh, I shouldn't have needed eye drops. It was the point at which everything was supposed to be back to normal and my eyes were supposed to be healing on the inside, but as far as focusing, fluctuations, bloodshot eyes, and everything else, everything was supposed to be back to normal, and my eyes were just supposed to be continuing to heal. Well, we got Lasik back in May. I believe it was back in May. And it is now January. So it has been over 6 months. So 6 months would have been November. And it's New Year. So it just turned uh, January 2 days ago. So November would have been 6 months. So it's been 7 months, and well, things have gotten better. I am happy to report, but as far as recommending LASIK, I will flat out say right here, right in the beginning, that if you're looking for LASIK and you're like, should I get it? This review went like up and down throughout the past couple of videos. But at this point, I've done enough research, I've seen enough stories, and I've been through enough of my own personal experience that if you're looking into it, I recommend you immediately halt and just go with glasses or contacts and don't get LASIK at all. The LASIK or the PRK version. Uh, and the reason I'm saying this is because if you've seen my other videos, you've seen that I've had dry eyes, headaches, floaters, starbursts, and everything else. And I can tell you that it's improved, but none of it has gone away. So we're 7 months post-op, and I still have all of those issues. So I still have dry eyes. I still have starbursts and halos. I still have headaches every single day. I still have uh, basically all the issues. Uh, and they've improved. So the dry eyes, I still have it every day. But we stopped taking eye drops every day because I just couldn't do it. Like I am so desperate to get off of eye drops that we stopped after 4 or 5 months. I got to the point where I could stop taking eye drops, and it would give me dry eyes, but not bad enough that it would require me to put in eye drops. So, for example, right now, every day, my eyes get dry. Uh, and it's weird because when I wake up, uh, my eyes will have like that night stuff, like the crusty stuff that gets in your eyes. But only some days. Most of the days there's nothing, or there's uh like I want to say it looks like a wet piece of paper, like a tiny piece of wet paper just on my eye. And it's weird because if it goes over the center of my eye, it literally blocks out my vision. I can't see. And it's weird, but most of the days I'll have that on my eye when I wake up instead of like the normal, like, crusties that you get in the corner of your eye. I don't really get those anymore. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. Most of the time, like I'd say 99% of the time, I wake up and my eyes are completely dry. There's nothing. They're absolutely dry. Like they've never seen a teardrop in its life. And I have to take a Q-tip every morning and uh, get like a white. It's like white. Uh, it's like a white spot, and it's always in the corner. So I have to like rub that out, and then there's usually something like right on my eye that I have to. It looks like snot, is the best way to describe it, but it's white. But it acts like snot, and I have to wipe that off, and then my eyes will water. I assume because they don't like the Q-tips, but they'll water, and then I can uh, blink and get my eyes lubricated. But then that's the only time my eyes will water. So I get one good watering in the morning when I wake up, and that's it. If I want any more water, like any more tears, I have to either put in eye drops, which I already said we don't do, uh, and or I have to like pull down my eyes, like I have to go like this and like get like let the air go into my eyelids and like try and like dry them out or stimulate whatever causes your eyes to water. And sometimes it works, most of the time it doesn't. Most of the time it makes my eyes drier because my eyes don't want to water. But sometimes if I go like this, or if I touch the top of the eyelid, it's enough to make my eyes water a little bit and I get some relief. But most of the time, my eyes are dry. They're just constantly dry. Uh, but if I'm sitting down, which I do most of the day, I work from home as a programmer, so I'm sitting in front of my computer all day, so I'm constantly sitting. So for me, it feels like I have a headache. It feels like someone's pushing like on my head, like all throughout here. And it feels like someone has like a sponge on my eyes, like right here, like right in the corners. Uh, and it feels like my eyes are just dry. But unless I stand up, the pain is manageable. It's like a little headache, and like you woke up with a headache is basically what it's like, but not a migraine. So, and it's every single day. It's all day, every day. Uh, and then if I stand up and I try to walk around and I try to do stuff, then the headache will get turned into a migraine. It'll feel like somebody is like either pressing on my eyes or like squeezing my head. In which case, uh, I have to take eye drops unless I sit back down. So it's weird. It's complicated. I don't understand what's going on, but I know it's dry eyes, and if I put in eye drops, it goes away. Uh, but I don't want to have to keep putting in eye drops, and the pain isn't bad enough that I feel the absolute need to. So that's one thing that's actually improved. So before it was so bad, like the pain was horrendous. It felt like someone was taking their thumbs and like just shoving it into my eyes, and I wanted to rip out my eyes because the pain was so bad. Uh, but we haven't had any days like that uh, for a couple months now. I don't remember the last time I actually had a day like that. Uh, so that's improved. The dryness is still there, but the pain is manageable. Uh, the focus has improved. I haven't had any focusing issues. The reflector cones, that's improved. I no longer have the reflector cone issues, or I have it and I haven't noticed. Uh, the headlights on cars uh, is improving. So if I look at a headlight on a car, before all I saw was a blob of white. Like I couldn't really make out the headlight very well. Like I could see where the headlight was, but it would put a big old halo around it. And especially with brake lights, it would make the brake lights extend like on back of tractor trailers, 18 wheelers, big rigs. The light would be here, but then if I looked at the tail light, the red light, it would extend out like 2 feet. So I wouldn't be able to tell where the trailer actually was. So was it on the road? Was it off the road? I couldn't tell. So that's one thing that has improved. I have gotten to the point where it no longer does that. I can actually see the light normally. Headlights still give a little halo, but I can actually make out the headlight. I can actually like make out the details now. Before I couldn't look at headlights, or it would give me severe pain. Like just the light would, like it was horrible. It was absolutely a nightmare. And that's gone away. I no longer have that issue. I can look at headlights now, like I used to be able to. Street lights, the colors used to blur all the like huge halos, and to the point where I couldn't tell where the circles were on the street lights. That was an issue, but that has gone away. I can actually see the street lights normally now, uh, and going outside, I no longer have to look down. I can look at the sky now. I don't have to wear sunglasses. So, all of those issues have either improved or completely gone away. They went away. Well, the halos just went away last month. So, after like 7 months, and the everything else improved about the 6 month mark is when things really started improving. So for 6 months, I had nonstop issues. And then as far as floaters, I still have those. I looked up a bunch of research on those. Turns out they're permanent, they will never go away. So I've learned to ignore them. So they don't really bother me anymore. I've dealt with them for 7 months now, so I've dealt with them to the point where it's I don't even notice them anymore. But unless I'm like trying to focus on them, in which case I can definitely see them. They're still there, uh, but they don't really bother me anymore. It's just something you learn to live with. It's nothing I can change, so there's no point in me focusing on it and bringing myself down over something I can't change. So, still have the floaters. And then we still have eye drops, even though we don't take them. We do have them for like if I travel, if I go to a friend's house, if I leave my place, even just to go to the store, I always carry a bottle of eye drops with me because I never know when like I'll get a migraine, when my eyes will get so dry that they just say I'm done. So we do that's a major issue, but I usually don't end up having to take them. I do take them uh, every now and then. It gets to the point where I just can't deal with the pain, and I take the eye drops. So we do still use them, but not as much. And then, as far as recommending LASIK. As I said in the beginning, I would not. I would absolutely avoid it, or I would. I guess a better thing to say would be to absolutely make sure that you are okay with the possibility of everything that I just went through. Because 6 months later, 7 months later, I'm still dealing with all of it. It hasn't gone away. It's just gotten to the point where it's bearable and I can manage it. So, uh, if you're looking for LASIK, I would recommend not getting it and just stick with glasses. Uh, but I've researched it, and there's a ton of stories. If you look on Google, if you look on Facebook, there's groups. So I joined a group that's for people who have had issues with LASIK, and it's over 6,000 members, and there's tons of stories of people who have damaged their eyes. Who there's tons of people who go through what I go through, but theirs is 10 times worse. There's people who have had retinal detachment, which is a serious issue after LASIK. So I really don't recommend it. But then again, there's a good chance that you may not have any issues. There's people who have had minor issues where they've had to get glasses after LASIK. Uh, so it's like, well, you get LASIK to get rid of glasses, but then you end up needing glasses because of LASIK. And that's a minor inconvenience because you're just going back to what you're used to. You're just putting on glasses. Uh, but there's people who have had so much pain that they have killed themselves. There has been multiple suicides because people could not live with the amount of pain that comes from everything I've described. So, pain from looking at lights where you can't look at computer screens, you can't look at headlights, you can't walk outside because just natural daylight is excruciating to look with. Even when you have sunglasses, some people, even sunglasses, doesn't get rid of the pain. And I dealt with that uh, after LASIK. Luckily, mine went away, so I couldn't walk outside. Without sunglasses on for weeks. I think for months. I don't remember, but it was way longer than the day or two that they said it would be. Uh, and like even whenever I could walk outside without sunglasses, you know, it would be a completely cloudy day, and it would feel like somebody was trying to rip my eyes out if I took the sunglasses off and tried to look forward, even just forward. Especially if I tried to look up at the sky, I couldn't do it. So I definitely know what that feels like, but there's people who that doesn't improve and they have to live with that for the rest of their life. And there's people who have committed suicide because they could not live with that pain. And they never had pain until they got LASIK. And there's people who have gotten the PRK uh, form and they've had the same issues with light sensitivity and dryness and headaches every single day to the point where they've killed themselves. It's sad. It shouldn't ever happen, but those are the real risks when it comes to LASIK. And those are the things that I was never informed about whenever I went to get my LASIK. And that is stuff that if you're considering LASIK, you need to be aware of. You need to be fully aware that there are over 6,000 people. You know, the media and everyone loves to boast and make jokes about people who have LASIK problems and say how there's maybe hundreds, there's the numbers are super small and everything else, but there's literally thousands of people, uh, and those are just the ones that are joining the group. I mean, there's thousands more that have not joined the group that are staying silent and suffering. And you can look all this up on Google. You can look it up on Facebook. You can verify it. There's people who have had their flaps come dislodged. So when you get LASIK, if you get the LASIK and not the PRK, there's a flap. And people have had flaps like dislodge and come undone years after, like 10, 15 years after they had LASIK done. So, and someone, I believe there was a story where a paper airplane hit somebody's eye. A paper airplane, this little tiny paper airplane, accidentally hit somebody's eye and caused their flap to open, and they had to go to the eye doctors and get it fixed right away. So that is always a worry that I have, that that's going to come open, and it's going to be something that, I'll have to rush to the hospital or to the eye doctors, and I'll have to get it clean, but and put back down, and then I'll have to go through all the stuff that I went through for months all over again, right back to day one. And that is something I never want to have to go through again. So the fear that that will somehow happen is always there. It's always in the back of your mind that, is this activity, is this wind, is this whatever going to cause a flap complication? And you would think, oh, well, after 6 months, after so many weeks, it's not going to happen. Like, it's impossible. But you can actually look up on Google where there are plenty of cases where even years later, flaps have actually come open with the littlest of effort. So, I mean, a paper airplane, come on now. That doesn't take much effort. Uh, so, that is always a constant fear of mine. And it's something that the doctors never really talk about. Uh, so it's something that if you're looking at LASIK, you need to take all this into account, and you need to ask your doctor about this. And if they try to brush it off, if they try to tell you, oh, that can never happen, it's not a possibility or anything, then you need to find a new doctor because that doctor is not being honest with you. And there's actually been cases, plenty of cases, where people have something wrong with their eyes that make LASIK a very poor choice for them. And doctors have still gone through with LASIK without telling the patient that they shouldn't do it. The patient has no idea there's something wrong, and the doctor still goes through with it. So, just because your doctor says, oh, you're the perfect candidate, doesn't mean you're actually a good candidate for LASIK. There's plenty of stories out there where patients have had their eyesight ruined because they went ahead and went with it because their doctor said they were perfect, and it turned out that they weren't. They should have never actually gotten LASIK done. So, uh, we're gonna wrap this video up. Since it's been like over 20 minutes of me rambling. And we're gonna say that the choice is up to you if you want to get LASIK. I'll make a 1 year follow-up and see if any of my issues with the dry eye or anything else improve or go away. Hopefully it goes away. But at this point, I don't think it will, but we'll see. I'll make a follow up video and let you know in a year, which will be in like 5 months from now, and we'll see. But until then, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll gladly answer any questions about my experience and what I've been through. And if you're looking for LASIK, I would just say get to know all the information, research, research. Like, get all the information you can about the real expectations, about the real experiences of LASIK. And then if you are still wanting to go through with it, then go for it. I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. I would never recommend LASIK. For me, I wish I'd never gotten it, but that's because I've had all these issues. But maybe you would have a better chance than I did. But for me, if I'd have known all these issues existed, I never would have gotten it. So, I will see you in a year, and let me know if you get LASIK, how it went for you, and if you ever had complications.